There's somebody right there, and then there's somebody in the balcony. I see with their hand up. If you keep your hand raised, we'll bring the microphone up to you.
Yeah. The fight sequence in Lake Arrowhead, was that faked slow motion?
You know, I think that a lot of it was like a combination of like fake slow motion and real slow motion. I think he had a camera that didn't quite shoot slow enough slow motion, so he also had them kind of like slowing down their movement. But a lot of that scene was basically the cut of that scene was pretty much the way it was cut, intercut with the kids breaking the piñata and Duke fighting with the guy and hitting him with the phone, and a lot of that intercutting with the band and everything. That was pretty much roughly the structure that those guys had come up with. And we kind of refined it and smoothed out some of the motion, but basically a lot of what you saw was pretty much the way it was constructed. You know, we just kind of made it smoother and kind of, you know, fixed it up a little bit.
Yes, right up there.
Hello. I was curious about the scene with the rather strong language about the Holocaust and the loss of the Jews and the Pope's lack of response. Is there something in Mr. Mitchell's background that would suggest the strength of his statements?
Yeah, I really don't know. I think, like a lot of Catholics, you know, we question things that the church does and still love the church, but there's like a lot of things within it that, you know, maybe are questionable at any point in the history. And I think Duke was like a lot of Catholics who are, you know, are constantly struggling with their own faith, and they believe, but there are things that they are, you know, feel strongly about within it. And which is also what I love about the movie, that the fact that he confronts some of these kind of issues. And, you know, in 1975, I don't know a lot of filmmakers who were doing that, especially in the realm of exploitation movies. So I think, you know, Scorsese kind of was, like in, you know, Mean Streets and things like that. But so yeah, I mean, it was definitely scripted like that. But also, he doesn't really make the character of the Pope into a villain, and I think ends up treating him with a lot of respect. And the Pope still performs a miracle, and he sets him free and has respect for him. So, you know, I think it's interesting. It's one of the things I love about the movie.
Me too. Yes, there's somebody down here.
Yes. Who are the three people he killed at the end? I was confused at the end of the three people he
I think
killed.
they're the ones responsible for Giorgio's death.
Those are the guys who actually set him up at the beginning of the movie. So I know and structurally the movie's kind of weird too, because, you know, so much time passes that you kind of forget who those guys were. But you know, they're actually the guys who kind of set him up to kill the 7 guys. And the one guy is the guy who says, "Hey Paul, you're in or you're in the way," when he's in jail. And the other guys were the 2 guys sitting at the table talking and planning the whole thing before he goes to Vegas to shoot the guys.
And when he finds out Giorgio is dead, he knows they're probably going to be after him. So
yeah, exactly.
It's actually a little piece that.
And I think he also wants. I think he also wants to show that even though these other guys have turned to good, Paul is still a killer, and he's still pursuing his evil, like, you know, revenge-filled ways. So even though the Pope has basically redeemed the other guys in his group, he's still a killer, and he's still...
And in the end, he is a true crisis of faith.
And then he gets converted by this weird miracle in this church.
Yeah.
Which was an actual church near Lake Arrowhead that he shot in, called Our Lady of the Lake, which is, again, it's like he could, I guess, talk his way into anything, even shooting in the Catholic Church.
Chris, you were going to say something about the insert of Giorgio's grave.
Yeah, we shot...
That's one liberty.
Yeah, we shot that insert because we didn't have the tombstone.
They were just looking down.
Yeah, there were a couple things that we had to shoot. We shot that tombstone, and then we shot an establishing shot of the prison. So
pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Yes, sir, right here.
Do you have enough footage for Gone with the Pope?
I wish there's like I said, about another 20 minutes of skiing at Big Bear, and a lot of stuff of like boats going by and them just sailing, but like I guarantee all the best stuff is really in the movie, and you know, there's a few little scraps here and there that we're probably going to put on the DVD if it ever comes out, but yeah, it's pretty much the movie that I think it needs to be.
Yeah. It's going on tour now to a bunch of...
Yeah, it's playing at you know, we have one print and we're sort of shipping it from city to city like an old-fashioned roadshow kind of movie. So this next week it's going to be in Chicago, and in a couple weeks it's going to be playing at the Sunshine Theater in New York City. It's going to be playing in Portland, Austin, Texas, and there's sort of a whole little circuit of theaters that'll play these kind of movies. So, I mean, we'll see. I hope people like it and it kind of picks up and turns into like a little bit of a cult thing.
And let's see. Yes, somebody in the back with their.
Overall, so far, how have you felt the reaction?
It's been good. You know, I was really worried the first show, and you know, we had a big screening in Hollywood, and we got about 400 people, and it was surprisingly, the response was really good. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I mean, it's definitely you know, an acquired taste. If you're into these kind of low-budget exploitation movies, I think you're more likely to enjoy it and kind of see past the faults and the slow parts and the weird structure and everything else. But I mean, I think the movie has a lot of heart and charm to it. So
absolutely.
Personal paisan filmmaking.
Yeah,
way before the 1980s.
But it's interesting to see it with people who maybe aren't aware of Duke Mitchell or his other movies, or I should say mostly his other movie, Massacre Mafia Style. But I mean, I just hope people like it. And I hope it's different enough than most movies that are out now. And it's definitely, you know, the real thing in terms of, you know, what these guys, how they were thinking, and just the way it was shot, and, you know, the production values and everything else. It's like kind of a time capsule of an era that doesn't exist.
Absolutely, yeah. When I first saw it, I remember thinking, well, gee, I know the premise of this film, and it basically doesn't get to it till about halfway.
Yeah, which is weird, but it's kind of cool.
It's wonderful. Well, that's what I said. I said, you know what? I could watch Duke Mitchell walk around Las Vegas and the signs for hours. It's just wonderful stuff, and it's just beautifully shot.
And it's cool. I mean, it was all shot, like I said, on weekends and with short ends, and the lowest budget you can imagine, basically like no budget. But you know, it's a testament to 35 millimeter film that even.
Thank you for putting it on a 35 millimeter.
Stored in somebody's garage for 20 years under the worst conditions, and it still looks like this. I mean, you know, we had to do a little bit of work to sort of, you know, make some of the images, like there were some focus problems, and there were some scenes that had really severe camera scratches and kind of things that are like inherent in low budget films. But I think it looks great, you know.
Do you want to talk about Peter and the photocam and the fact that we found the DP, and he's working at the lab, and he
found
helped
the DP and
get us through this and tell us all these stories of what happened.
And the lab photocam in Hollywood really got behind finishing the movie for us.
Because he's working there now, so he was able to.
And Peter Santoro, who was the original DP, who was straight out of film school.
He went to like AFI.
Went to AFI and shot the movie. He's working at a lab now in Hollywood, and he really got behind it and got it finished for us. And we just really, basically, again, kind of like the way the movie was shot, we kind of worked on, you know, nights and weekends and graveyard shifts and whenever they had free time available to kind of, you know, bring everything together and clean it up and do a full restoration of the thing. So.
Well, I, for one, am enormously grateful. Thank you both for coming. I just want to say briefly, if you are staying for American Grindhouse, we are asking everyone to exit the theater now and take your coats with you. If you can't leave them on the seats, it'll keep them from being lost. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bob, for coming. Thank you so much.